welcome back. My name is Amanda Ferber. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Architecture Hunter, and I'm so happy to have you all here today. This is the continuation of a special series we started back in February, our very first week of webinars. And from now on, we are excited to bring these webinars to you on a monthly basis, aligned with our mission to expand Architecture Hunters' fourth pillar education. And well, as many of you know, we've always worked to inspire, inform, and entertain. And now, with this new cycle of monthly webinars, we take that one step further by creating educational moments that connect with our global community. Every month, we'll dive into a specific theme, and you can expect 1 or 2 Fridays each month dedicated to these conversations. For those of you who are joining us for the first time today, Architecture Hunter is a global architecture media platform. We've been curating projects from all around the world since 2013, and today we have an audience of over 3 million people across our channels. And now let's talk about this month's theme, Architecture Without Frontiers, Global Convergences. This month is very special. We've invited professionals from different countries to share their projects as study cases so we can better understand how architecture is being practiced and reimagined across borders. And even more special, the curatorial lens we used to select the participants was based on few winners of the Architecture Hunter Awards 2024, which, by the way, brings me to a very exciting announcement. This Monday, we officially launched the Architecture Hunter Awards 2025, and now it's open for entries. So let me tell you a little bit more. After over a decade of creating architecture and more than 6,000 projects published, we felt it was time to create a space to honor the truly exceptional projects that go to a step beyond, that carry something deeper, more meaningful. And the first edition of the Architecture Hunter Awards fulfilled exactly that. We had projects from all over the world and from all types of offices, ranging from emerging young talents to world-renowned firms. A perfect example is Julia Getchko, a Brazilian architect, submitted her final thesis project in the unbuilt category, and she was competing alongside some of the most recognized architects in the world, and she won. And at the same time, we had winners like Sahadid Architects, a Pritzker-winning office. So that's the kind of diversity we believe in and celebrate. Now, in 2025, we have a few exciting updates. We are introducing new categories, product design for our outstanding furniture, lighting, and objects, best new firm for offices with up to 8 years of existence, firm of the year selected by our international jury. And we are also making the student projects category completely free because we want to shine a light on the next generation of architecture and design. Another new feature, this year, before announcing the winners, we'll also reveal a short list of finalists. We believe many projects that come very close to winning also deserve visibility and recognition. And last but not least, something very close to our hearts. We'll continue our support to Construige, a Brazilian NGO that builds homes for families in vulnerable conditions. And last year, we donated 5% of all our entries to them. And this year, we'll do even more. We are donating 100% of the entries from the new category, social architecture, to Construige. So yes, submissions for the Architecture Hunter Awards 2025 are officially open, and we are now in the first entry period. So this is the best time for you to register. You can submit your project anytime before July 10th, and the winners will be revealed in October. So you can learn more and apply it at architecturehunter.com, and I hope to see your work there. So now let's dive into today's webinar. I hope you enjoy and feel inspired by these global perspectives. And thank you so much for being here with us today. So now let's welcome Omar Gandhi, winner of the Interior Design, Hospitality and Hotel category. with the incredible project Prime Seafood Palace. He also received a honorable mention for the OG house. So welcome, Omar.
Hi, Amanda. How are you? Really nice to see you.
So nice to see you too.
Okay, let me slide over here. Uh, there. How's that? Is that working?
Yes, it's working.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, I guess I can't see any of you, but really nice that you guys have all joined. Really appreciate being invited to share two of our projects actually in this little talk. So our practice is based here in Halifax on the east coast of Canada. We opened a Toronto studio in 2016, and just this year at the same time as our 15th anniversary, just earlier this week, we announced that we just opened a studio in Berlin as well. So the first project that I'm going to talk about is Prime Seafood Palace. And some of you may know the client, but this project really started, I'd say, around the time I opened the Toronto studio in 2016. I hadn't lived in Toronto for quite some years, and so didn't really know some of the personalities around, but a few of the people in my office certainly knew who this gentleman was. And so I received a text message, a DM on Instagram back then, and this guy, Matty Matheson, who I then looked into later on, was a pretty notable chef in Toronto and was kind of widely recognized, at least across North America, for his show on Vice. And so we asked to meet up, and we met up, and I heard about kind of his dreams for this little restaurant project that I think was going to be sort of his primary first opening. Um, and so a little funny picture, but in case some of you maybe recognized his name but didn't recognize or remember who it was, Matty now, many years later, is so much bigger than he was back then. He's now a writer, producer, and actor on The Bear. His shows and books are sort of everywhere. And it was really wonderful to kind of see this guy's journey. A super, super nice guy, really, really smart, but a real character. He really brings the best out in people. And so, you know, this building, this white building right here, it was actually not built at the time when we started this, but we had some influence over what it was going to look like. So there was originally a building, a heritage building that was there that got torn down, and a developer wanted to build this base building that would have a primary tenant of Prime Seafood Palace as the restaurant. In our kind of process, I think, of imagining what this building looked like on the outside, which was designed by Diamond and Schmidt out of Toronto, we really, really, I think, pushed for the idea that this building would be really, I think, not dumbed down, but normalized to the point where you could walk by it and just sort of think of it as a new development. It wasn't anything special. It was something that was, you know, somewhat forgettable, but clean. And the idea was that on the inside would be this golden egg, this surprise. And so the first sketch was really, again, this idea of carving out the inside, entering through what seemingly seems like the door that, they pull the garbage out of at the end of the night. Really, really unassuming. There isn't any signage on the building except for a little plaque on the wall. And the idea was you would walk in and without really understanding or knowing, the inside would be this kind of golden shape. And so taking that further, and this was, you know, I think many architects can imagine very, very few projects actually go from an initial sketch and an initial idea to actually being built. But this one, over the course of, I think, 6 years, really didn't change all that much. And so here is on the left an image of the interior space, all white oak and maple, brass detailing, custom lights, and these booths out of Sorensen leather. And this model that came right before that, really at the scale of kind of the detail really tries to depict this story of carving out the inside of this monolithic volume and surprising. That was really kind of, I think, the key intent of the design was that it would be an unbelievable surprise that people would want to go back to over and over again. Some more images of this model. And you can see that the ceiling is really kind of hung within this industrial steel and concrete building. And this is Maddie standing under a mock-up of what that ceiling detail would look like to give you some detail of scale inside the space. And I think, partially because of COVID, partially because of cost and complexity and all these things and waiting for the base building to be built, it really ended up being, like I said, a 5-6 year project that when it opened, it was, I think, a huge relief for everyone. And certainly got a lot of attention. And this is maybe the most well-known image of the project. That really is kind of the first glimpse when you walk in through that very, very unassuming side door. You get a little bit of activity through those windows that have a screen over it. And so the streetcars and people walking by, you get a sense of that activity without being fully connected. And on the outside, the inverse of that, really in the evening when there's this gentle glow inside the white box, you get a sense of the enormous activity that's taking place inside the space. So in the plan, in the bottom drawing, if you can see that, at number 1 over here, if you can see my cursor, this is the entry. This is the street on this side. The booths all along here under the massive archway, the bar, and I think a really special dining space. At the back over here is where the number 8 is the kitchen. You can see fairly tall in space and used, as much as possible up on the second tier of that, using ladders and sort of makeshift things. But it was, I think, maybe one of the things about this project and this client was the interest in the client to really go above and beyond. In a double height space, to not use that 2-floor height for more seats, really, I think, gives you some sense of how much they believed in this idea and that people would be there all the time. And this is what we call the cottage over here, which is a small room off to the side that is used for private events, as well as a walkout area in the patio at number 10. But one of, I think, the most surprising and beautiful much later on in the process was realizing that we actually had this double height space above the accessible bathroom, which, very easily could have been used for storage in the kitchen. But I proposed this idea of making this accessible bathroom into something that would be really memorable. And so this idea of double heighting this space up through a tile volume looking up at the sky. So you can see that in the left image there. And then in the dining room on the right. This is a little view of the courtyard in the fall time when the leaves start to fall and looking into the cottage space over there. Some details on the left of the kitchen, of course, some of the lime wash in the stairwell, as well as some local Canadian art. Some of the custom furniture that we designed, like this knife drawer that's at the table, and that was with Coolican out of Toronto. And then on the image on the right, the cottage space that really, I think, has a very different vibe than the main dining space. And so, again, this idea that each time you come, you have a very different experience. Now, I'll just segue, I know there isn't a lot of time, into the second project that we were fortunate enough to win an award with Architecture Hunter, OG House, which of course is my own home. And so a decade after having my own practice, and designing houses with my team for, dozens of families and clients, it felt like this might be the time to design something for my own family. And so I stumbled across this very, very narrow lot that previously had not been built on in the 300 years prior in the city of Halifax. It was always part of the adjacent property and really only had a shed at the back of the property itself. And so I think they trimmed that part of the property off and were trying to sell it. And so we saw an opportunity, I think, that most people were a little bit shy about, given the overall width of the property itself. And so this idea that there would be this long, narrow volume with this screen over the front face that really gave privacy to both myself, my family, but I think even more importantly to the street itself, so that we weren't hanging over the sidewalk in a neighborhood that's really sort of developing. We didn't want to kind of put that glassy facade hanging over the sidewalk. There's a real sense of kind of, I think, modesty in this place that I live. And so this was, I think, an attempt, despite, I guess, the style and modernity of the project, was really trying to kind of peel back a little bit using local materials, including a buff brick and local wood for windows and a wood cladding. And so this is, of course, that same view from the street looking up, a white oak, white cedar on the sides, a red cedar on the front, and this beautiful screen. This was a photo by Double Space out of Toronto. And then this buff brick that wraps around and really becomes kind of the plinth and cradle of the house itself. This being the plan, I don't know if that's easy enough to read, but this, of course, is the street on the left side. And although there's a door here for the office on the ground floor and community workspace, we primarily enter down in the back between the shed and the back of the house. And so you descend down these stairs and find yourself in this kind of lobby slash hangout area that I use every morning for my morning coffee. And then this large desk at the back that really kind of fills this wood-clad space. On the second floor, which is entirely within the wood volume, number 2 is the kitchen, 3 is the dining space, and then 4 within a gently and then very abruptly rising ceiling is the living room itself. On the top floor, there's 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and then this space in my son's room that looks down into the double height living room space below and really kind of captures all of the skylight that drops down from within it. And then, of course, on the floor above that is a bit of a roof deck covering part of the space. In section, I think probably the most interesting drawing is the section on the top left that really gives you a sense of how we sacrificed the potential of having another bedroom for the drama of the living room itself, which really rises up towards the skylight in a pretty intense way. Of course, it's not often architects get free rein to really sort of develop ideas and really kind of do all the things that you always dreamt of doing for other people, but didn't have the flexibility. But I would say that in this scenario, except for maybe the overall constraints of the building itself on the property, because it was so small, everything within that was about sculpting and shaping and really kind of imagining the materiality of the inside and pushing it as hard as we could. Using a really dear friend of mine, Rolly Hudson, who was then in Colombia, but then moved back to his home country of England. We really explored the shape of the funnel with Jordan Rice in my office to really kind of illuminate the art in the space and have a consistent type of acoustic and natural light quality, and really played with the idea of what that funnel would really look like until we settled on a final shape. And so it was, beyond fun. Of course, we always have fun during construction on all of our projects, but this being a project for my little boy and my partner and I, it was a place to hang out all the time and really kind of see this thing come together in the most magical way. You can see some of the neighborhood kids running by. This beautiful photo by Emma Peter from Vancouver, Canada, and seeing kind of the straight on view of that screen at the back, looking into both the kitchen and the master bedroom. A couple glimpses of what that living room space, dining space, and on the top right, the desk looking into the back. These are photos by Emma Peter as well. And this is all white oak on the floor, the wall paneling, beautifully crafted by Hewn and Barter out of Halifax. And that's our cat, of course. And you can see in some of the detailing, it was really kind of a magical process watching these guys from MRB do the exterior and really sort of push the idea of taking some of these traditional methods of bricklaying, these patterns, and really pushing, I think, the wood cladding as well. Some amazing work by Brody Chappell and Hewn and Barter on the furniture and the island. It was really, again, about pushing these ideas as hard as possible. And, in spite of, I think the cost being kind of the big barrier, it was really just about going as far as possible, including really starting to explore some custom details like this brass handrail that Philo Timo helped with, which really was this idea of this brass plate that emerges from the white oak panels itself, and finding shape so that this brass piece could handle a white oak dowel. So seeing these things start to come together in prototype and then in final value, this thing that sort of punctures and pierces through the panel edge itself. And then exploring ideas about lighting, again, custom that, is on the market now with A-Line and Philo Timo. The brick light, how do you illuminate a brick wall without attaching something to the outer surface? Well, we thought of this idea of, laying a light fixture just like a brick itself and mortaring it in. And so we developed that further after the prototype and really sort of, I think, have been pushing that recently on recent projects. This is an image looking up at the sky. It's pretty cool to see the moon at times and, the clouds racing by. And then that's a window into my son's bedroom. Really kind of dark and dramatic principal bathroom. And then just an overwhelming overlay of white oak and this kind of very, very simple overlay of patterns using the same material. And then this is, of course, where I am right now, the studio on the bottom floor, which was actually meant to be our primary office for our studio. But during COVID, we had actually grown a little bit and it just wasn't possible anymore. So now it's a meeting place for some of our community projects as well as my home studio. And like I said, a place in the morning to sit and drink coffee and kind of reflect on the day. The leftover material that we had on the front screen, which is a West Coast Western red cedar, we used for a local bench outside the North End Public Library in the community. And that was really the first community project that we worked out of the OG studio for. And then the second was rehabilitating this place that really was dilapidated over the course of 20 years or so. And we completely gutted and refinished it so that 9, at the time, homeless men were able to move in. And that's it, guys. I'll stop it there.
Hi, Omar.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi. Oh, thank you so much for sharing these two incredible projects.
Thank you.
It at Architecture Hunter team truly loved hearing the deeper stories behind them. And I'm sure everyone here was able to take away some valuable insights. And well, now let's move on to the Q&A session.
Sure.
Ooh,
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce my colleague, Daniela Silva. She's an architect and journalist, and many of you here have already come across her work. She's a brilliant mind behind some of the amazing articles you've seen in our website. So Daniela now lead the Q&A with Omar. So feel free, guys, to send your questions either here in the chat or in the Q&A session. And welcome, Daniela.
Thank you, Amanda. Omar, thank you so much for your presentation. It was
Oh,
very
thank you.
inspiring. For me, I wish we could have more time to hear about your community projects.
Yeah.
It really caught my curiosity, but it was amazing to see the presentation of your both of your projects. That it really gives us a sense of the work that you do develop at your office. So as Amanda was saying, we will now start the Q&A session. And I would like to remind our audience that if you have any questions for Omar, please type it on the chat and we will move on from there. And to start the conversation, Omar, I would like to ask you regarding the first project, the Prime Seafood Palace. It's a remarkable project, and I would say particularly in the use of the materials, the choice of the materials. What were the key factors that led you to this choose of materials and the color palette? And how do these materials shape the dining experience?
Of course. Yeah. Thank you. We wanted to pick materials that were uniquely Canadian, the maple wood. I think Maddie, as well as being extremely talented in other ways, is profoundly interested in design as well. And so I think he was very much from the outset, um, sharing his inspirations. And really, I think it was us kind of taking that and pushing it to the next level. But there was this idea of uniformity or homogeneity that really was meant to be kind of, you know, uh, a soft and bold, I know those seem like opposites, backdrop to the incredible food and the kind of music he wanted to play. I mean, I felt like he kind of had imagined this over the course of, the 10 years prior. And so there was, when a project lasts 6 years as well, people have so many ideas that it's then a real, I think, exercise in restraint. It was somewhat of a miracle that we were able to kind of capture the initial ideas all the way till the end, which, I think part of that was just us being very, very clear about no, like no, 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 like remember this. We like showing the original images. Um,
And
but
keeping the focus.
exactly, yeah, keeping the focus. So, I think that made it really fun. But, of course, we're all fans of Japanese and Scandinavian influences as well as Canadian, traditional things. And so it was sort of a unique combination of all of that, but then also a place that with the leather, with the acoustic kind of ceiling over top, um, kind of imagining that kind of place that exists for 60 years in our cities and are like staples, right? Like people love it and cherish it. And there's something about going in, feeling a calmness to it when, restaurants used to have carpet floors and, curtains and things. And there was like a very quiet vibe to restaurants, which, people don't do anymore because they want things to be easy to clean and, whatever, right? But if you imagine it, you can imagine, restaurants smelling like years of cigarette smoke in the carpet, right?
True, true. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Okay, that takes me to the next question, because you were
sure.
saying that the design took inspiration from both Japanese and Scandinavian aesthetics,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so I was wondering, how did these influences guided your creative direction, also in balance with the client, of course, and how
Yeah.
do they manifest in the overall concept? Because I could notice from the pictures that also the furniture
Yeah.
had that influence.
Absolutely. And I think, there's also something very Canadian about that as well. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
slightly less known in the design world, but using those local woods and I think furniture and design pieces that I think are designed to almost be family heirlooms, right? Where you can imagine passing it on because there's a certain level of craft or consideration behind it. Uh, yeah, almost a bit of a shaker sort of aesthetic to some of the furniture. So yeah, in some ways it's quite contemporary. In other ways, it's a combination of some of those things that you would find at your grandparents' house. I think that was it. But in terms of the Japanese and Scandinavian, I think it was this idea of spareness, minimalism, where all of the kind of articulation comes from the material itself. Even if the material is a single material, all of the unique textures and grains and shadows that come from each thing, that being kind of the leading um, uh, influence, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the things that along the presentation you always refer is the client, Matt,
Yeah. Yeah.
Matty, and like I could understood that he was very hands-on and not like the client that imposes or just pays and leaves, but very hands-on and involved and curious and interested. So, how did his vision and philosophy influenced your architectural approach, and how was this balance during the process?
I think it was just a lot of conversations. And not only was he really involved, the minute we started this project, we had just moved into our own office space
Mhm.
in an area in Toronto called Parkdale. And he and his associates were looking for an office space too. So they literally moved in our building next door. Uh, and so we just shared a door. So if you could imagine the level of influence being at the amount of someone who's lying on your couch all the time while you're working, it was sort of like that. So a constant sharing of information, even when I wasn't there with our team, with John Gray and Stephanie, really sort of like just dreaming this together. But I think as time progressed, I think the new ideas became more nuanced and about details of things as opposed to
Mm,
the larger vision, which really came from those two or three conversations we had over, breakfast. Um, that was it. It was like, okay, in my mind, what was really important was that you don't see the space coming. And I think, the house sort of achieves that a little bit as well. I think there's this idea of withholding as much as possible to achieve a dramatic effect that
mhm.
comes as a surprise. And in both cases, it's about, I think form, it's about natural light, and it's about extreme contrasts. Yeah.
Really interesting. And moving on to the other project you presented, the
Sure.
OG house.
Yep.
Now, this project is placed in the coastal context, right?
It is.
Uh,
Yeah.
how did the specific landscape and climate influence your design choices, particularly in the balance between openness to views and protection from the elements?
Yeah, it's a coastal landscape, but it's within the city. So you don't really see the ocean from the house, but the climate is still very extreme. And so the biggest part of that is probably just spray air that corrodes things very quickly and weathers it. And so I had known that, with the wood on the outside, the wood would very quickly turn from this orangey yellow pale color to gray very quickly, which is what it is now. But I knew that the brick would retain its kind of very muted buff color. And so now, instead of it being kind of this completely homogeneous thing, it's sort of like a gray box sitting on a buff cradle. But yeah, I think the thing is building on in these sort of climates is that that the climate will win, the weather will win, and you need to use materials and kind of foreshadow what's going to happen to them. Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you. And you were talking about the client. In this particular case, you designed the OG house for yourself and your family, right?
Yep.
What would you say that were the biggest challenges you faced compared to designing for another person, for a client?
I think you see all the time architects designing for themselves, and I'm sure that most would agree it's the most difficult thing because although we don't talk about it, the thing that we all rely on as architects more than anything are constraints. And in this scenario, there were only two constraints because, for one, my son was too young. My partner we weren't together at the point of when I designed this. So it was really my son and I. And there was budget and the property. And so the property really kind of allowed for very specific kind of dimensions. So that was the starting point. And then the rest was about kind of sculpting, carving from the inside and shaping this thing. But yeah, I think for most people, when you can do anything barring budget, all those things that you dreamt of doing come to top of mind, and I think it can be very difficult. But fortunately, I had the perfect combination of freedom and constraint.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Amazing. Okay, so I have one last question to
sure,
wrap this whole conversation. So
sure.
both of these projects, you submitted them to the Architecture Hunter Awards, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what was the significant in this project that led you to submit to the awards? And how do you usually select which projects to enter into a competition?
Well, I mean, in terms of submitting it, it was, of course, the first award program for Architecture Hunter, and we have, enormous respect for the platform and Amanda and everything that Architecture Hunter has done over a short period of time. It's also, in spite of it being, a global platform, it's based in a part of the world that I think is really beautiful and interesting. And so it felt like a way of reaching a different community. In terms of, deciding which projects to select, I mean, the world, you go on Architecture Hunter right now. I mean, every day there are incredible bodies of work and projects throughout the world being released. And so I think you need to really believe that your work has a chance. But whether you win or you don't win, I think the main thing is it's a great exercise to format and kind of revisit the project and present it in a way that can be shared. And then winning is, of course, a beautiful bonus. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Omar, thank you so much for sharing this project and for sharing your insights,
Thank you.
showing the way you work. It was very inspiring. Omar, has been such an inspiring conversation. Your work highlighted, especially the first projects, how architecture can transcend borders while remaining
Yeah.
deeply rooted to its place and culture. Thank you for that, for sharing. To our audience, we hope this session has sparked new ideas. And Amanda, I leave it to you.
Oh, thank
Thank
you
you, Daniela.
Thank
for
you.
leading this Q&A session, and thank you so much, Omar, for the kind words about Architecture Hunter too. We, like the whole team right now, we're so happy hearing all the stuff you were talking about us. We were so glad to hear this. And well, now for our second webinar of the day, we are thrilled to welcome Sanjeev Panjabi, Principal Partner at SPASM Design. His studio was the winner in the architecture category of high-rise residential building with the impressive Sarvasva building located in India. It's a true pleasure to have him here to share more about his remarkable project. So welcome, Sanjeev.
Where's the background? Uh, just a second. Some tech issues.
Okay,
Give us a second.
no problem. Let's wait until they
Not letting you.
ready.
It's not letting you.
Okay,
You can't. Not in
fine.
this.
Then put
Yeah.
that circle behind. Can you put this off somewhere?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
So, I am Sanjeev Panjabi. Firstly, let me congratulate Omar on a very good presentation of his work. Omar, we've connected on Instagram and we'll be friends forever. These are the funny things Architecture Hunter is managing to do, connect the community, which we really respect. Amanda, thank you very much. Daniela, you're amazing. Okay. I'm gonna begin with, am I sharing the screen? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you are sharing the screen. We can see the presentation.
Okay, one second. So Sarvasva is a very unique story in the lives of Sangeeta and me. Sangeeta is my partner. SPASM stands for Sanjeev Panjabi and Sangeeta Merchant. We studied together, so we had two kind of station points trying to render our own Mumbai in India in a funny kind of way. Sarvasva was the name given to this project by the client lady, the lady of the house. It literally means my precious world. She came up with the name much after the house was built or when the house was completed. So we're going to drag you all the way from Canada now to Mumbai. Mumbai is on the western coast of India. People who have been to India and have been to Mumbai know what the madness of Mumbai is. So our pictures are going to be about chaotic stuff, not peaceful, beautiful landscapes. Mumbai is in a western region of India, and therefore it receives a lot of monsoon rains and westerly winds, and most of our buildings suffer because of that. This particular building is located in Matunga. Now, Matunga is a part of the 7 islands of Mumbai, and apparently it gets its name from the Sanskrit word for elephant, because there was an elephant stable in this region. Matunga was also then planned into a kind of planned development, plotting and roads as such. One of the first, if I may say that. It's on the 19-degree north latitude. It faces east. The house itself is, so the story of the house, the way the house came about to our studio is that the father and the son both saw a singular render on our website of an unbuilt project and thought that it would fit their lifestyle. They came to us and said, you know, guys, let's, can you do something like this? And it was, it kind of fell into place as an unbuilt work, and we had to tweak it. It's a single family home, a high-rise single family home, which is a very funny, a funny way to build in Bombay, because not many people can afford homes like this. Most of it is housing. The diagram I'm showing you right now is the Sunpath diagram. The Dadar Matunga Wadala Science Plan was made in 1899 and 1900s, which is education to me also when we research the project now. It's basically a beautiful leafy neighborhood, but with lots of small low-rise developments. This particular plot was a small bungalow called Kiran Bungalow, which faced the east. It faces a university campus. So hopefully the university campus won't be redeveloped and won't become tall as all of Mumbai is becoming. What I'm going to show you is not too many drawings. The reason is we are forbidden to show you the drawings, but we're going to show you the concept of the project, and we're going to show you how we came about building this project. The project sits on a very leafy, a very old neighborhood. You can see the trees literally covering the roads, and the terracotta roofs that you see is the university across. The plot is a minuscule plot, and it has several peculiarities. Building in Bombay is not easy at all. It is developer driven. So to be able to actually construct anything of reckoning, this image kind of explains what we've tried to do. We tried to create a kind of architectural entity which speaks to the neighborhood, speaks to the green, and brings back living with green as best as possible. Everything around is slabs of inhabitation, little windows, 900 mm sills, and that's all you can afford in a city like Bombay. Fortunately for us, we were chosen to build a single home for a family, and we had to deal with the rules. We had to deal with climate. We had to deal with longevity. Sangeeta and I are heavily invested into sustainability as a practice. We believe that all buildings in Bombay should be double skin buildings. Single skin buildings do not work here. Concrete frames and brickwork separates from it, and you'll end up having crack repair every 2 monsoons. As you see, the density of the city is huge. It is unlike most cities in the world. There's a greed for FSI, so FSI is floor space index, to be able to even convince the family which is going to inhabit to not max out their building and their construction is a challenge. This is the streetscape. Now there are many peculiar rules to build, and I'm not going to get into that because then it becomes boring as an architectural discourse. The entire building is clad in terracotta, true terracotta baguettes, as well as panels, which form a rain screen to surround the concrete frame in order to protect it and make it a long-lasting object. What we had and what we could max out is on the left side. Typically, a builder would just build slab upon slab upon slab. We played with varying heights in order to create singular room. So it's a vertical stack. There are rooms, formal living, there's casual living, there's a kitchen, there's guest rooms, there's son's suite, there's father's suite, there's entertainment. But we had some room to play with varying depths and varying heights. And that's what we have tried to use as the pivot for the project. Now, as you go higher and as you go taller in Bombay, you begin to also see ugliness. You also begin to see the stuff you do not want to. And in order to create architecture which is pleasing and calm and serene, you need to edit that view. The lady on the right is what we call a ghungat or a veil, which everybody is aware about. And we likened it to the principal eye of the building, which in terms of architecture is just receding back, making small terraces and pulling back the glazing so that you do not have too much solar gain, and create a climatic zone in the front, the one facing east, so that the solar penetration is at the right times, and you have an interface with the outside and the climate which you are trying to control um, in a very simple, frugal way. The three diagrams basically indicate that we've used misting, we've used hanging planters, we've used trees, we've used the jali effect or the brise soleil effect, through which the breezes come in from the south and the west. We've used evaporative cooling and controlled solar incidence as best as possible to create spaces of varying height. So you see two spaces have staircases. One is the formal living and one is the casual living. And then atop the building is the pool. We'll come to the visuals. The terracotta panels and the second skin, which I'm trying to lay emphasis on and which we're doing on many more projects in Mumbai now, is that it protects the concrete frame and the brickwork. I think even Brazil has the same issues. And the frame begins to separate from the brickwork. And the moment you have a secondary layer, whatever it may be, whether it's zinc, whether it's metal, whether it's terracotta, it allows for convectional air to roam around the building and kind of equalize the temperature, reduce the heat gain. Terracotta a choice because of greenery. It works best with green. And dust doesn't show on the building. Our city is a lot about dust, a lot about water, a lot about temperature. We are a hot place and we needed to cool down the building. We needed to keep the air between the outer skin and the inner body of the building flowing. The greenery is now taking over, and it's actually like hair out of a stocking in this picture, but we love that. This again kind of gives you an idea of every space. This is the kitchen connecting to an outdoor space on days where when you can be out, like the December, October, January months, you can actually hang out outside, have your meals outside. You still have the ceiling fan, the air circulates, and you can retract back when it's very hot. Every space, so this is the full width of the building, by the way. Every space has a clear view of the outside. This is a lower floor, and therefore you see the acacia outside. And then there's the jali or the brise soleil space, which has automated irrigation. It has misting. You automatically clean your plants, but you still have an outer interface. What we did also is connected spaces which were vertically stacked with these pasta stairs, the black stairs on the facade, which throw you out of the building into the principal eye and back in as a shortcut between spaces instead of using the main stair, which is at the back, main and fire stair, and the elevators. So all the function, the program went to the back, and the nicer parts, the living parts, the served spaces came up in front, and the greenery is kicking on. I'm going to shut up now and just show you some more visuals. So the development, there may not be any development in front, which or won't be in the foreseeable future, and therefore the plot was bought. The double height spaces. This is the formal living room. It has plumeria, and it has these hanging ferns, and you can actually walk up a stair to the dining space, a generous height. And it kind of gives a sense of the tropics. This is another shot of the same. Imagine the thickness on the left, making the thickness on the right survive. For us, it was about the space on the left, which kind of protected and made it charming to live at a higher floor. This is one of the other spaces, which is the casual living space, the TV watching, the games, a reading room, which you can see on the right top. And then we reach the top floor, which is so when they entertain, it's not like a regular home where you walk into a living room. You basically catch an elevator and get to the top floor. And this is what you see. You get a beautiful vanishing edge pool. You've got the misting here too. You've got a panoramic vista, which I'll show you in a bit. And it's crowning over Mumbai, right? These are some drone shots, which gave an idea of the sense of living in a compact plot in a way which is still earthy, sustainable, and developments are never sustainable, but the word is used very loosely by architects, but we feel that longevity, the ability to build buildings which can last at least 50 years and be leak proof is a good achievement in a city like Mumbai. We obviously also do the academic bit, made the models. This is a brass model, which is a new fascination in the studio. We are documenting all our work with little aged brass models and wood to be able to see them at the same scale and understand our work over the last 20 years. You get an idea of what goes on in Mumbai when you look around and what we've tried to do and what the little pasta stairs do. So you've got the formal living dead center of the screen, and you've got the entertainment at top, and then you've got the lower, the bedrooms, and you can actually connect to your kid's bedroom if you walk down the stair. That's a day shot. The receded glazing, it's all double glazing, it goes back. The breezes which affect the building come through these brisoles, so that there's a venturi effect, it's cooler. And I'm just gonna play a film now. I guess we're done.
Sanjeev, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank
Very
you.
inspiring.
Thank you.
Especially because the presentation was not only about the project, but also about its context, that it's quite unique.
Yes.
Before we start the Q&A session, just a quick reminder for the ones who are watching, if you have questions, feel free to drop them on the chat. And to start the conversation about the project, I would love to ask a few questions about the ideas that shaped this project. The terracotta facade is both functional and very aesthetically appealing, I would say. What inspired these material choices? What were the reasons to choose this material? And how does it respond to Mumbai's climate? You were talking about the distance of the double facade, but can we say that the material is also a response to this climate?
So, Daniela, Sangeeta and I are born and brought up in Bombay. We went to college, architecture college in Bombay. We are homebred. We did not go abroad to study. We've seen ugliness come up around us. We've seen good buildings come up around us. We've seen Art Deco around us. So Mumbai is a city which is a chaotic, crazy place where anything goes, right? Now, when you get an opportunity to build like this, it's fun. Of course, it's fun, but you've got to tread carefully. You've got to make the right choices in terms of sustainability, in terms of what are you doing to the neighborhood? What we've noticed is that over the years, there is an apathy towards what's going on. Nobody cares. It's just the greed and the want to be in the square footage of the city. And that should not be it. It should be a beautiful city, and it can be a beautiful city for us to. So the agenda SPASM has is to make Mumbai beautiful again, and we see a lot of promise in our contemporaries. There's a huge amount of practices, burgeoning amount of practices in our country now, in Mumbai and all over India, which are building the new India, way professional and with the right sensibility. We will lead the new architectural revolution, and this is how we make these choices. Terracotta, of course, is obviously an eco-friendly material. It is made completely out of mud. What actually worked for us was the longevity of the material. The important thing is, if you do a double skin on our taller buildings, in the shorter buildings, it's okay. You can push out the eaves of your roof and you can protect the walls. But when you cannot protect the walls, and because of seismic reasons, you need to have a concrete frame. When you build a concrete frame, the concrete frame has a different thermal coefficient compared to the brick. And this is a problem everywhere. In the homes I've lived in the homes everybody is living in. How do you solve this problem? So we laid out the simplest, most frugal problems we had. And therefore the terracotta skins, it's only 100 mm away from the inner building, but it protects the building. Then pulling back the glass, because the moment you pull back the glass in the tropics, incident heat is lost. You've taken care of that. And then if you have that layer around the building throughout, which you control the microclimate of with misting, with ventilation, with just convectional fans, you are already reducing your electricity load by a lot. So sustainability is not about big things. We feel sustainability is about common sense architecture. Of course,
it's interesting.
Yes.
Sorry, go
I was
ahead.
I was about to say that, of course, green was an agenda on every floor. The family wanted it, we wanted it, and nobody hates green, right? So the green worked best with this particular color. You could do terracotta in many colors, but we chose this color because it just works well and it stands out. And we are unafraid to stand out because we want to stand out. We want to set an example for something new. Things are changing rapidly in this country, and we want to do that. We want to lead that.
Amazing. I was just going to add, while I was seeing the pictures, I find it interesting that you protected the facade with a second skin, but for the heat, the temperature, the sun, but when you are in the inside of the apartments, you feel this openness. You don't feel like caged or closed. You have a connection to the outside. So that balance was very nice to see from the outside and in the inside. That was really delicate, I think. So this project was designed to accommodate multi-generational families.
Yes.
And I was wondering, how did you approach the challenge of creating spaces that deal with different age groups while ensuring a sense of cohesion and flexibility?
Yeah, that's a very poignant question. The thing is, when you do a home, and Omar presented his home amazingly, lucky enough, he had to deal with a partner and his son. We had to deal with 8 people. And it wasn't only 8 people, but it's also the rules to build a tower like this, right? Connectivity, uh, uh, and the right response to different age groups. So we had kids, we had middle generation and senior generation, and we had staff. In India, staff is family. The family lives with you. So we've also spoken to the staff. We've also spoken to the cook while doing the kitchen up. We've spoken to the lady of the house for the puja room where they pray. So we have a very different, it's not bedrooms, living room, home. It's about little nuances which drive you crazy. But the overall idea, selling the overall idea, the moment they saw the model and they saw the first couple of renders and sketches, they were sold. They came with the render to us and they said, can you do this? And we managed to kind of break the Houdini's handcuff and fit it all in. The central agenda was to be able to give them an experience of tropical living with beautiful greens around. The son of the family, of course, was the star because he related with us at every level: music, food, travel, all of it. So, we'd be playing Led Zeppelin in our studio and he'd turn up and say, your music is on point. And, and this is how you make connections. So Sangeeta and I have done homes, a lot of homes, and we built a lot in India and, even offshore. But to be able to connect, to be able to do the yin and the yang bit, the dance, the flamenco, the ping pong, we've called it many names, but we are just 2 points. We render a project well because we listen. And I think in this profession, listening has become a problem. Listening to the site, listening to the client, listening to the conditions, listening to the budget, like Omar said, listening to just your gut. And these make architecture, not the academic aura surrounding it.
Very interesting. Thank you. Now, during your presentation, you talked a bit about the urban density, right? That it's a significant challenge in Mumbai. How does this project deals with the balance between privacy and community living in such a dynamic and densely populated context?
It's a very difficult question to answer because what happens is all the buildings you saw surrounding the building and most of Mumbai's texture is actually a kind of community living. We live in apartment blocks where sometimes main doors are left open. The sense of privacy in the east, in Mumbai, is very different from the sense of privacy in the west. Food comes from the neighbor's house every 2 days, just because you like it, not because you're sick. India is a very different animal, and we live socially very differently. These people obviously could afford a plot like this, wanted to live with some amount of privacy from each other, but wanted to entertain, and are obviously connected to the people around. It is very difficult to make a vertical home, let me tell you that. We've done a lot of homes in acreages in Ahmedabad, in Delhi, in Goa, and we're working in Dubai. All of these homes are very easy and architecturally very easy to do. A vertical home, however, is very difficult to bring the whole synergy of family life where you're running into each other every day and ever so often. So this was a challenge. But the principal eye for us was important because, the father gets out and he just looks down at his son. He says, you're coming up for breakfast, and that works. In a funny kind of way, but, that's what that principal eye is about. That's what that space, it's about giving away. they could have maxed out every floor and gone all the way to the edge, had a glass facade.
Yeah, exactly.
But because we eroded the form, it's a simple cuboid eroded. It's an urban cave. Well, but you kind of can make those visual links, can take the shortcut on the black stair up to your father's room, say, hi, what's going on? Or the cook can, send up food. These things, it's like a vertical anthill, if I may call it that.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes, I can imagine that it's very much. I never designed a vertical house, but yeah, the flux, the circularity, it's the relationship between the spaces are totally different.
True.
Okay, to wrap up the conversation, and since this project that it's an amazing project, I have to say I was really happy to watch the presentation.
Thank you for
learned a
awarding
lot.
us. I would like to formally thank you people for choosing a project from which is very different and from a very populated place where you don't even get good pictures.
Another challenge for the project.
Yes.
But it's from my perception of the images we saw, it's a very photogenic project. So the last question I wanted to do is, what is the significance of this project to you that led you to submit it for the award, for the Architecture Hunter Award? And how do you usually select the projects to enter a competition?
That's a good question. And so I'm going to answer it very differently from Omar. Omar, hi, if you're listening. So Sangeeta and I have a very different way of working. We are opposites, and we kind of fight our way to success, if I may call it that. So what we do is we are both listeners. Listening, very important. Listening is very important, like I said. And she takes away certain stuff from the conversation, and I take away certain stuff from the conversation. Then all that is put onto the table with our team. And then there are concerns, right? So you're developing concerns as an architect, as a humanist, as a poet, as an egoist. You really want to do something nice, but at the end of the day, all of it has to be practical. It has to have fruition. It has to be within budget. It has to all work. So we select those projects which have stories. Most of our projects are stories, chapters of our lives. They take 3 years to 4 years to build here. And if we are not fully invested into our project, we would never be able to deliver such projects. So we live, we breathe, we die for these projects, and we cry, we bitch, we moan for these projects. The projects which are in Alibag, across the bay, horizontal, are easier, and they're fun. But projects like this, where the family says, this is Sarvasva, this is my whole world, is a reward.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And I have to say, this might sound a bit of a critic to other architects, but sometimes I have this feeling that the word sustainability has becoming quite empty. We tend to say sustainability for everything. And I was very happy to hear your presentation and understanding that in this case, sustainability was through and through. It was
I would
not
like
just
to
the
add,
name.
I would like to add one last sentence. The greatest learning we've got is from Jeffrey Bawa from Sri Lanka. All his work was sustainable in how it was. All his work was practical. All his work was beautiful. We learned a lot from some of the masters around us. But you've got to move on. You've got to create new work. You've got to take risks, and that's important.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev.
Thank you.
This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And Sangeeta, thanks Amanda and Daniela, both of y'all, y'all are stars. Thank you so much for actually pushing this AHA agenda, on Instagram, and the way y'all have handpicked projects. it feels good to be in the league with Omar and the Brazilian practice that will follow and Zaha and all of them. We never expected it. Thank you for honoring us.
Sanjeev, it was so great to hear more about this project and the way you present everything. And it's such an honor to have you here because this project, when we saw your submission, the whole team was very curious about the project. And we were very happy when we saw that the jury members also selected it as the winner. So thank you so much for your time, for being here.
We're going to submit again.
Please do.
Yeah. And there's some beautiful work in the pipeline. So
okay.
I think we will meet again.
I'm sure we will. And I hope we can meet in person one day too. We
It'll
love
be
to
cool. Yes.
exchange, more
It really
ideas.
will be cool.
It was very good. Thank you, Daniela, also for this very smooth and beautiful lead of the Q&A. And well,
Thank you.
now for our final webinar of the day, we have a beautiful case coming from Brazil here by the architecture firm ARQBR. We are welcoming architects André Velloso and Mariana Castro, who will share with us the story behind the Church of the Holy Family, the winning project in the architecture institutional facilities category. It's an honor to have him with us. So welcome, André and Mariana.
Good morning.
Okay,
So, first of all, good morning. I'd like to thank you, Amanda and Daniela, for having us here on this conversation. And
Mariana, we cannot see you, neither
So,
hear
okay.
you. Oh, okay, now you're
So-
back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So first, I'd like to thank you, Amanda and Daniela, for having us here. I'd like to congratulate our colleagues, Omar and Sanjeev, for their excellent work. I don't know if Andre already entered the call, but I'm going to start sharing the screen.
I think André is now here too.
Hello.
Hi, André.
So, just a second. Well, I'm André. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the invitation to be part of this event. I also want to congratulate the entire Architecture Hunter team, not only for the award, but for the outstanding work you've been doing for many years. And it's a great pleasure to share a little bit of this project, which is very special to us in an event with such great office and colleagues from around the world. Unfortunately, my partner, Ede, had an unexpected commitment, and he won't be able to be here today. So I invited Mariana to join me this presentation. She's great, a great architect who has been with our office for many years and knows a lot the Sagrada Familia Parish project. She knows it very, very well. And I could say that my internet connection is unstable, or there's noisy construction work going on here nearby. Both would be true, but the real reason is that Mariana speaks much better English than I do. So I've asked her to lead today's presentation, but I'll be here to make comments and help answer the questions. And now I'll pass it to Mari.
There's no problem.
Okay.
The important thing is that the message will be passed, and we'll learn a little bit more about the project. So welcome, Mariana. Thank you for you two being here today.
So thank you. So I will start briefly introducing our office. So ARQBR is located here in Brasilia, at the intersection of the Plano Piloto, the pilot plan axis in Brasilia. So it was founded in 2013 by Ede and André. And I've been working here since 2018, so it has been a time. And this is our current team, composed by architects and architectural students who actually make everything happen on our everyday life. So to talk about the Church of the Holy Family, I will start by talking about our city a little bit, because Brasilia holds like a unique significance in our productions, in our architectural language, in a way, and in how ARQBR intervene in this territory. So the geological and topographical characteristics of this region led the city being situated within a very particular type of landscape, with this vast presence of the horizon and consequently the sky. So in this sense, Lúcio Costa, the responsible of the Brasilia drawing. So the Lúcio Costa's regulatory design actually adapted very well to this pre-existence. So inserting a city in a very appropriate way. So like this drawing of Lúcio Costa inserts the city in a very appropriate way. So he once said, I'm going to translate this this phrase, that he says, I found the plateau, that horizon without limit, extremely vast. It is out of scale, like a large ocean with immense clouds moving over it. By placing the city in the middle of it, we could be creating a landscape. So for us, this statement is actually very powerful, because it speaks to the ability of architecture to create a landscape. And this is one of the main principles that we are going to revisit on the project of the church. So the project of Brasilia actually became a reality through interventions like this, with large-scale earth movements that, in this case, resolve the meeting point between the residential and the monumental axis, like the principal drawing of Lúcio Costa, through the implementation of the bus platform here on the middle, and it is the city 0 point. So always with the construction, always with this landscape as a background, becoming part of the spatial composition. So this is Brasilia today, a living city in constant motion, which, in addition to its governmental and monumental functions, also hosts the everyday life. So this is actually where the Church of the Holy Family is situated. So the Church of the Holy Family started, the project began in 2012 as a result of a private competition that we were invited to participate with other architects, and eventually we won this competition. And the parish is located in this red point here, in an area a little bit distance from the center of the pilot plan, the center of the city, and it is in a neighborhood of mainly single-family residence. So this triangle between these streets is the site, the plot of the church, where there was still is actually this existing building where the church actually was functioning on the site. So also this largest space of the site is oriented toward a high-speed highway with heavy traffic that's called EPIA. And well, that's it, the site. So the project started with mainly three basic ideas. So the ideas of community, of the sacred, and also the nature. So from the beginning, the concept for the main nave, the main building, was to be in a circle or in a round design that reinforces these principles, these ideas of community, of welcome and communal, very related to the religion itself. So additionally, there was a desire to bring the horizon very present in the idea of Brasilia into the interior space in a way that remains like the human being remains equidistant to this connection with nature. So from these ideas, there were studies the studies were conducted regarding scale and composition to better shape this complex, which needed to accommodate not only the nave, the main building, but also the parish house, an annex like a community center, and also a bell tower. So in the end, we arrived at this composition, which is guided by two main axes. So one axis, the first one, is an X parallel to the highway that's here on the 3D model. So this axis is parallel to the highway, which aligns with the nave. And the nave itself is grounded on this designed, built terrain, with also the more like modest parish house here on the background, and also the bell tower. The second axis is the main axis running through the community center here on the back. Here is the existing building that's you're going to see on the photos. It still exists on the side. We're still going to renovate that area to become like an event area to the church. So this section, I think it explains the projects very well, because it illustrates the intention of embedding these buildings into the ground, where at the eye level here inside the nave, there is a slit, like a void that frames that horizon around the church. So the nave consists basically of an external concrete ring supported by 6 pillars distributed around the perimeter. And these pillars bear the load of the steel trusses. There are 12 steel trusses that converge into on a compression ring on the center of the nave. The annex here on the right, it was designed to be like a quieter and more understated volume on this complex. So here, a zoom in the section, you can see the outside concrete ring, and inside this element there is another ring of wood panels that actually receives light from an opening in the roof. That actually there's an opening around all of the perimeter of the church. So the light comes from above, and you see on the images, it kind of evokes a reference to like a divine light that comes from above, and it provides a sense of the passage of time through the changing shadows on the panel. So here you can see that opening on the eye view to this horizon of the city. Here's some pictures of the construction time. So during this process, it was actually fascinating to see those initial ideas getting materialized. So in this photo, the floor, the granite floor was being polished, so it kind of created this ethereal atmosphere. And then we started to understand that the construction was becoming like independent for itself. So here is it was the initial point of the construction, where every reference of the diameter of the structure started, and it's like a stack on the ground. Then every reference of the circular drawing of the church is started. So here this ground being built to support the volume of the nave. So in a way that the nave would like kind of float above the terrain. This is Ed checking if the concrete was well done here on this area. Here the scale of the annex being also softened by the placement of this earth, of this ground. So the idea of the annex is to be this horizontal presence on the context. The bell tower, which provides like a vertical contrast to the composition, and also considering the context of this high-speed highway on the right, it also works as a landmark within this dynamic landscape. So here on the left, you can see the building that existed from the beginning of the site of the lot. On the back, you have the parish, the priest house. The nave is this circle element. The annex, very horizontal on the side, and the bell tower that's still doesn't have the bell, but it's going to be a bell here on this void. And some pictures of the church nowadays. I think this image shows us the importance of the maintaining this horizon and also the sky in Brasilia. So the idea of the project was to actually respect that pre-existence of the nature on the surroundings. Here, one of the main axes of the project is the main entrance to the annex. The nature making this background to this concrete material, concrete volumes. Here you can see this this void between the concrete mass and the ground. Here you can see the level of the annex that's below the main level of the ground. So when the person is inside these spaces, their eyes are aligned to the ground, to the nature itself. Here, actually, this picture was taken on like a party that happened here in June in Brazil. It's called Festa Junina. It's June party, where the church was very occupied with activities and those kind of flags on the halls. Here inside the nave, where you can see this inside ring of wood, and also this opening on the ceiling where the light comes in. So this is a very interesting moment where you can see the time passing according to where the shadow is. So this light comes from above. It's actually very beautiful. We also designed and designed the furniture. So the benches, we draw those benches. We had some different tests of models, and then we decided by this one of also wood. Also the altar and those support elements on their sides. We draw that elements, and that's it.
André and Mariana, thank you so much for your presentation. Beautiful project and very inspiring. I would like to move on with the Q&A session. And again, a quick reminder to our audience that if you have any questions, feel free to write those on the chat of the Zoom. And I would like to start by asking regarding this project. And since the circular design of the nave is quite distinctive and remarkable on this project, could you explain a little bit more how this circular shape enhances the congregation experience during the service?
Yeah, so I think it's not a very literal idea of like the circle translating this idea of community. I think it's a more subjective, in a subjective way, where circle is it's a form that it's like equidistance between 2 points. So I think, I don't know, André, if you can explain it better, but I think the idea of the circle is, yeah, like congregation and community, but
Well, the priest, Padre Américo, it's a great person, and he and all the community always talked a lot about the way they are. They do things together, and they would like to construct that church together. So it was a way to, I don't know, to translate this need. And also there are some ideas of also infinitude, infinitude, because
Yes.
the circle it never ends. So we try to bring some ideas of sacred and mix it with the community needs. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, during the presentation, you were talking about the light, right? The vertical light that comes from the ceiling. And of course, natural light is an important aspect when shaping or designing a church. What were the primary considerations when designing the lighting scheme, both natural and artificial?
Yeah, well, so the idea was to try to, during the day, obviously, is to try to not use artificial light. So actually, this is how it happens nowadays. They only turn on the lights during the night. But we try to balance also with comfort thermical environment. So we always have natural light entering the space, but in a comfortable way, so people doesn't get very hot inside the space. So it is a space with a lot of people. When you have a big mass inside the nave, you need the air to flow, and also doesn't you don't have to you can't be exposed to the sun. So we try to balance these ideas of bringing natural light inside the space, but also not in a hot way to people use the space inside. So those two main openings of the nave are very important for that. So we have the light that comes from above, and also the light on that horizontal void that's on the eye level. Yeah.
Well, Brasilia is a sunny city, not always, but it's a sunny city, and we are near a highway, a noisy highway. The church is near a noisy highway, and so we try to make after the entrance a different atmosphere, so people could have the perception of divine. So after entering the church, people should change a key. So it's okay. I'm not outside. I'm not listening to that. I'm not at the sunny place. I'm here, and the light it's a part of the atmosphere. So we had to how can I say, filter.
To filter, yes.
Filter, yeah.
Okay, and while you were showing the pictures of the project, and since there's this circular structure that it's elevated from the floor, I can imagine that was not easy to build. So were there any notable challenges during the construction?
Yeah, so I think working with apparent concrete is always a challenge, because when we concrete those walls, it's going to be the way it is, because we don't have finishes on the wall. So the concretation time is very important to define how the building will look like. So first of all, the pillars, the columns, they are very heavy structure. They do have a lot of steel elements inside. So in one of the construction pictures, you had that vertical element that on the picture it only had steel on the picture. It didn't have concrete yet. So yeah, but with the ring, the concrete ring, we actually had one challenge. We started concreting the wall first in a first height.
Sorry.
No, in the first height.
The first piece. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the day of the concrete moment, one of the wood panels that make the base of the concrete actually opened when the concrete was getting inside the wood panel that sustains the concrete. The wood panel opened, and then and I think it was concreting during the night. André, you can confirm that. And then everyone started to calling Eddie and André to say, "Oh my God, the wood is opening, the concrete is going everywhere," but they could correct this wood structure very fastly, and then everything was okay, was solved. But I think this was the main issue we had on the construction. The company that built this church were very respectful with our project, with our idea, and this was very important to the church be the way it is right now.
Great. Okay. The next question I wanted to make is, how did you approach the responsibility of designing a large institutional project in a city with such a strong architectural legacy, with names like Niemeyer?
Well, I think it's always a very big responsibility. Yeah. Well, I think architecture in general has always this responsibility of how and when intervene on a space. But in a program like this, where it affects not only a person, not only a single client, it is very important for us to try to, I think, Sanjeev said something about listening, and I think in projects like this that involves community, it's very important to listen, so we can make a good architecture for not only a person, for um conjunto.
A group, a community,
like a group of people. And yeah, this always comes with a responsibility, but we are actually always taking references of those ones that came before us. So Oscar Niemeyer is always a reference for us. I think the idea, like the concrete idea of the project, is very based on Oscar Niemeyer works, where when you build the structure of the building is already done. It's ready, so you don't have this adds to the building. And yeah, I think it's always a big responsibility.
Thank you. And to wrap up the conversation, and this is my last question, I would like to ask you exactly the same thing I did with the other guests. That is, for you, what is the significance of this project that led you to submit it for the Architecture Hunter Award? And how do you usually select which projects to enter in a competition?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was listening to the colleagues' answer, so I really like when Sanjeev said about projects that has stories. So I think a little bit what I was talking before. This project affects a community, so I think it's very good when it's very interesting when this kind of project is recognized by big platforms like Architecture Hunter. So not a singular to this specific project. I think it's good when Brazilian architecture is recognized in general way around the world. So Brazilian architecture has a lot of richness that it's good to be part of this. Putting the architecture, the Brazilian architecture, so the world can know and understand. So I think this project reflects all of the hard work that happened on the background, and I think we selected this one to be awarded because of this interference and this impact in a larger scale of the society itself. So I don't know if you want to add something, André.
Well, I think that's it. It's a very important project for us. It's one of the two first projects of the office. Eder brought this project. It was a kind of competition. We didn't know it were a competition, but the community asked for some architects to bring some studies, and they selected, they chose this one. And Eder came with this client, and I had a client that would like to make a house, and that way the office starts. We start to work together, and after 13 years, 12, 13, 12, 13, I don't know, 13 years, we can see this church built with a little details missing, but like the belt, but it's very important to us to see, and it's difficult to build something institutional and it's so important as a church. So when we saw the award, the first thought was, okay, let's submit the church.
That's great. And congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To both of you, thank you so much for your time, for your presentation. It was really inspiring to see the project. And well, the church beautifully illustrates how architecture can shape spiritual experiences, right? So thank you for that. And congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Daniela, for leading this excellent Q&A session. Thank you so much, Mariana, for the presentation, and also André for being here. And well, thank you guys, everyone who has stayed with us today in this webinar session. I hope this was very insightful for all of you. that brings us to the end of today's webinars, and we are truly happy to have had all of you with us today, and especially our speakers too. For us at Architecture Hunter, it's incredibly meaningful to create moments like this, connecting our global community and giving space for incredible firms to share what they've been building, thinking, and practicing. And guess what? We'll be back next week with 2 more amazing case studies, and you don't want to miss them. So make sure to sign up for on our website so you are notified and can join us live. And of course, a quick reminder, submissions for the Architecture Hunter Awards 2025 are officially open. So head to our website, secure your spot, and be part of it. Who knows, your project might be one of next year's winners and feature as a case study in this very webinar series. Thank you again and see you soon.